We hit on this in another episode. I call it the exposure trap. Have you ever thought to yourself, wow, taking on this client will be good for us? Or maybe you've heard the potential client themselves say, hey, if you take this on, it'll be really good for your company. Yeah, we've heard it. So sit back, hang on, because we're going for a ride.
The exposure trap. The exposure trap is real. And I can tell you when you're a young company or just starting out in whatever form your work is taking you, a lot of times we're chasing getting those logos on our website. We want them, and we want to continue to grow the level of brand and company that we're working with to then try to attract even more. The big thing about it is it's very rarely the case. You know, depending on what level of work you're doing, if you're a high-end production company working with the biggest of agencies, there is something to having other brands on there, and it will attract others to you. But for the general video production companies that are out there, be careful of falling into the trap of when someone comes to you and says, this project will be great for you. It is a classic sales technique to try to get you to feel desired and wanted, when in reality, that promise of what it's going to lead to never really comes out, because it was an empty claim, an empty promise that was being made to you. And so you really have to take that with a grain of salt. If you're going to take the project, take it because you want to. We're all responsible for, marketing our own work and marketing the companies that we do our work for. That's how more work comes in the door when you're a young company. But others will use that. And Brian, I think of this whole thing of the exposure trap, and I think back in our history, and there's been so many times in the cases where that's happened. A lot of times where it begins is when a client comes to you and says, we'll do this first project. We can only do it at this level of budget, and it's a really low budget. But on the next one, we'll be able to do a lot better on budget. And if you do this first one, this will be really good for you because it'll get you in the door with us, that kind of thing. Is that one of the places where you see it? Are there other places? Like, how do you feel about this whole exposure?
Yeah, well, first of all, that's the most abusive one, right?
Yeah.
Do it at this price. And because it'll be good for you. Do it at this price. And we can show you to other departments and this and that. What ends up happening is you get locked into that price. You get locked into that level of work for maybe a discounted rate, maybe just to get your foot in the door. You never climb out of it. You will not climb out of it. And if you do, it'll be years in the making. So not only is it deceptive, it's abusive. I think the second one is, you sit there and you just like you said about putting the names on the website, but you're also thinking, well, they keep good company. Like I know for a fact, even on the lower end clients who say this, their thing is, well, this is going to be shown at our board meeting or at the this or the that, where we have the leaders of industry from our region, and you're going to get exposed. They're not remembering the company. They don't care. And if they do care, they're going to inquire. And then it comes right after that inquiry of, oh, who did this? That was actually really good. Oh, how much did you pay for it? And again, with a different company, you're now trapped at a lower level of service. Let me rephrase it. Not a lower level of service, a lower level of cost for your service. So you're trapped anyway. It doesn't really matter. Do good work. Make a name for yourself. Charge what you can. Do what you will. But don't expect anybody who ever comes through your door saying this will be good for you, for this to actually be good for you. Do it for whatever reason you justify, and that's okay. Again, I'm fond of saying it's okay whatever way you choose, but not because of this. Do not fall victim to this. It is abusive and it is obnoxious. And so, yeah, I think of that. I do think a lot, this goes back to the nonprofit. There's been nonprofits who are like, oh, this will be good for you. It's like, actually, with our track record, this will actually be good for you to work with us. And we want to help. But please, let's not tell me how great it is for me. I already know. That's why I'm offering to do it. And that's usually my common response, because it's such an abusive statement. And we are we're almost shell shocked by it at this point in time, where it comes and you know what's coming next if you've done this long enough.
Yeah, and usually that statement of "this will be good for you" is usually having to do with a low budget project. That's usually where they're trying to get you in the door for this project because it's low cost, and they use that line as almost a value add to why you should do it. If you're going to take the project on, know why you're doing it, and if it's because you do want to have that brand on, let's say, your site or on your list of clients, that's great. But keep in mind a couple of things. Number one, don't do it for that potential that there's going to be so much more that the floodgates are going to open, because that's on you to get more business, including with this new client. And once you do this project, you have to continuously remind them of the almost favor that you did in terms of taking on a lower budget, so that the next time they don't forget.
Short. I'm sorry.
Memories
I'm sorry
are so short. No, it's
So
okay.
short.
Memories are incredibly short. I'm so glad you said that, because I wasn't thinking of that, and that is an amazing statement to make. Memories are very short, and they won't remember necessarily who helped them out in that moment, and they certainly will remember the price that they paid for it, and they will try to hold it to you for the next project as well. And the thing is, it's okay if you want to continue doing that work for a client at a specific price point. By all means, continue to do it. Just know how it fits into your revenue stream and understand what this is. And in many cases, that will probably never change over the entire history of your relationship with that company. So if you understand that and you continue to do it, that's great. Continue doing it. Just know that you are going to be looking for another client to help replace some of that work or to add more revenue to what it is that you're doing, because it doesn't go up. The price generally will stay the same. They try to continue to get as much as they can within that price point. So just keep that in mind for the majority. And I don't want to throw everyone in that same bucket, because it's not the case. There are some who have come to us and say, look, this is for real. Our first project where, think about startups. Think about companies that are new. You can start with someone on a lower end, but I go back to that point. The onus is on you to be honest and transparent with them. Be open to having that conversation with them, that as these, let's say 6 months go by and you've done a bunch of projects and you're noticing that the company is growing, then it's on you to have that courage to step in and say, look, I need to raise the rates just a bit on this next project that we do, and then continue that kind of conversation with them as they continue to grow, so that you're not left stuck in the same spot.
Yeah, I'm not letting anybody off the hook on this one. Whether it's the large corporation or the startup, you can have great relationships all the way across the spectrum. It's when an organization thinks that what they do in the world is super important, and what you do in the world has no value, little value, or much less value. That's when I have a problem. And it's because there's a lack of mutual respect. And for me, at this point in our growth cycle, I don't want to work with clients that don't have mutual respect. I'm not curing cancer. I know that. But if I can help you cure cancer, that's cool. And I feel great about that. Yeah. I don't have the degree you have, but you also don't have the skill set I have. So if you could treat me with respect, whether you're a large sneaker corporation or a small startup, that's wonderful. But I've worked with, unfortunately, some of each who think that it's in my best interest to do everything I can to bend over backwards, to do everything that they want at a price point they want that isn't always acceptable, because you can't. It's just a lack of respect, a lack of humility, and there's a bit of hubris in there. Like, really? Just because I don't do what you do, you think I have less value? Well, find somebody else. I want to work with a partner. So that's where I draw my line.
Some of the practical things that people can, I think, start to look at this with, sort of the reframing of what the exposure trap is, and maybe how you can potentially combat against it, because it's the nature of business. It goes back to that. It's business. Someone's trying to get a service from you and they're trying to protect their bottom line. And so they are always going to try to get something for perhaps less than where you'd like to see it, because it fits better with their financial reality, right? So we always have to remember that our clients are businesses, right? And
Absolutely.
a startup, you threw in a startup, so let's talk about startups. We might read a headline that they raised X amount of dollars and think, whoa, okay, they can handle this type of project. The reality is that they may have a team, and regardless of whether they're a high-paid team or what have you, they have a team, and the burn rate, as they like to say in startup world, the burn rate, how much money is going out the door, can be pretty heavy in those.
Sure.
And for whatever reasons, that burn rate can be heavy, and their money is going out the door. So they're always looking for ways to save in the beginning to get things and get traction and all that good stuff. And you can be a part of that solution, but you have to understand when you're jumping in that that is what your role is at the time. And again, it goes back to, as you see the company growing, then you can begin to have those conversations with them. But you have to step up and have that conversation with them. I can tell you that we had a long time relationship with a brand where we were, for the most part, the majority of our projects were with one department, but there weren't really a lot of introductions made to others. That was us making our way to other departments to kind of get our name within that company. They have their, if it's a large organization, every department has their very specific needs, and they're going to be protective of that and try to make sure that they are served in the way that they need served. And if you want to increase your exposure within an organization, that's on you to do, and you have to find ways to get in. And it's not necessarily through any fault of anyone. It's just that's the way that life happens every single day. They have a list of things they have to get done each day. They're not necessarily thinking about the handshakes that they need to make for you. And again, it's not through any fault of anyone. It's just that's the way it is. So if you get in with a company at a lower cost and there's a much bigger organization, then it's on you to begin to find ways to market to the rest of that organization to show the value that you're bringing over here and how you can bring it to other areas of that company. So, and even in low-cost projects, there are ways to keep your profit center. The one thing I wrote some notes down here is when someone approaches you with very low-cost offers for a project that they have, and they say it's going to be good for you, and they say this is what our budget is, their internal conversation went something like this. All right, everyone, we need a video done. How much should our budget be? It's like, oh, well, we have to fly someone to this location. We have to put them up in a hotel. They have to eat. And then we'll have them filming for 2 days. And it's an arbitrary number that they chose for how many days of filming they need, because they actually don't necessarily know how long certain shots take. Yeah, and then they'll be here for filming for 2 days, and the budget will be this. The one number that they didn't say in that conversation is, oh, and we want our vendor to have a 20% or 30% profit margin in this, so let's add this to the budget. That's never in their conversation. It's only about this is the budget they need to do their job with. They're never thinking about your profit. They're thinking about theirs. So if you take on a project, understand that these are the variables they use to come up with a number, the magic number. A lot of it's really arbitrary thinking, and then you have to go in and say, like, all right, let me restructure this so that I can have some profit in this and still get a great job done for them. And then very quickly be aware of what this relationship is and understand what your role in it is. We've been really fortunate. There's a company that's a startup that we've have a tremendous relationship with. It's fabulous. And the transparency with which we can talk to each other is incredible. And, it absolutely touches every project that we do with them, because they can openly say, look, we have to do this, but we only have this to do it with. Let's do it. Let's get it done, because the relationship is so strong. We know where they're at.
Respect.
And so it's great.
Mutual respect. And
The respect.
That's the key to the whole thing.
That's the key.
When
That's
somebody
the key.
thinks that they're standing on a higher pedestal for what they offer, they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they're trying to stand on a higher pedestal for what they offer, telling you what you offer is less, that's when it's abusive.
That's when it's abusive. Yeah.
That's the simple key to the whole thing.
Yeah. And you can tell pretty quickly if there's a lack of humility on their part. That is actually very telling as to what the relationship is going to be like from that point forward. And you have to make a decision. Do I want to take this project on? Is it going to be worth the time to do it? And do I want this type of relationship in my life right now? Or can I find someone else who is just going to be a better fit for me? So be careful with that. Chasing a brand, chasing a logo, that grass is always greener is not the case most of the time. There are some hidden things that will pop up all of a sudden. And we just have to be, super cautious with that end of it. So I love having this conversation. And we've learned, this is 22 years in the making for us in terms of understanding relationships. And now when someone comes to us with any request, we make a decision pretty quickly. And we say, can we make this work? And can we be helpful to them? Because we want to be helpful. We want to see more companies grow, especially in our region. We want to see, communities can be stronger if we have stronger businesses in the area. That's just, better jobs, more jobs. They do a lot. The businesses here where we are, they do so much in the community. You go to any nonprofit event and the logos that are on these things with the sheer amount of financial support that they're giving to local organizations just to make the state better, the community better. We want to help more companies get into that kind of position to make communities stronger. So sometimes, they might come with that kind of line and, because they think that that's going to be an effective way to get us in. We're a little bit more blunt these days and tell them, look, that's not why we're here. And sometimes you can break through those walls if you're really honest right at the beginning and see if you can do that. If you can break through, there are people who changes their complete dialogue if you disarm them in that way. So I think that's an important part of this too. Transparency, honesty,
respect,
humility, respect.
Humility is if I had to pick one, it would be humility. Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, and I love that respect line. But so be really cautious out there as you're looking to work with clients, and that, in your mind's eye, you say like, man, if I only had this client in my list of clients. That might be true in some cases, but in others, it might just be you're not seeing everything that's going into what that relationship will be like. And never devalue who you are and what you bring to the table. Always hold your value up. And if a client says, you'll be lucky to work with us, if it rubs you the wrong way, be bold and say, actually, it'll be really good for you guys to work with us. And here's why. And if it means that they walk away, they walk away, and that's okay. You stood your ground. Yeah. Don't devalue yourself, but understand if you do have to take something on that's a lower rate, accept that. Understand why, but then know what it is. It's not going to be more than that per se. Don't expect. Do it because you want to do it, but don't have any expectations in return.
You got to put the work
Brian,
in if you want to keep expanding.
Yeah. One of the big things too, and this will be maybe just one of the final thoughts on this, is the idea of loyalty. Because we've been fortunate. We have some very loyal clients. We do. We have some that go to bat for, even if they don't have any projects at the moment, they go to bat for us just in just little things they do and the way that we communicate with each other on an ongoing basis. We have some very loyal clients, and we are so grateful for them. But in general, I think maybe the other thing to watch out for is, especially with a lower price point, there can be a lack of loyalty again, goes back to that statement of memories are short. And you might be thinking in your head that, oh yeah, I have them as a customer. Meanwhile, they might be already looking for someone else to fill this because they don't think you'll do it for less or something like that. We have to get it out of our heads that our customers, that our clients, I like to say our partners, I don't like the word client, it seems so impersonal, that our partners are thinking of us every minute of every single day, every second. They're just thinking about, how can I bring more to them? How can I, forget about my job. I need to think about, they're not. They have their own business to run. They have their own responsibilities that they got to meet. It is absolutely on us to communicate with them on a consistent basis. We have to pick up that phone. We have to send emails, stay connected on social, on LinkedIn, all that. It is on us. You have to do that work. So sometimes you might feel slighted, like I did this and now I'm not hearing from them. It's like, well, when's the last time you reached out to them with an idea, or just to see how things are going, or, you know, when's the last time you engaged in that to that level? And that's critical, and that's on us. Everything is our responsibility, and we just have to jump in understanding that right from the get. But yeah, be cautious, and just your gut will tell you if something feels right or not. And I can't think of anything else that we can say on this, Brian, because that's pretty much it.
Nope. It's got to go back and forth. It's got to be two ways. That's all.
Yeah. Awesome.
Respect has to flow in both directions.
So remember, that's the words of the day: respect, humility, and boldness. Be bold out there, and go keep doing some good work, and you'll land the clients that are meant to be with you. And with that, we're going to wrap this episode. Let us know how this one hit. What was your favorite part of this episode? Was there something that rang really true for you, or was there something that you disagreed with us on? Let us know down in the comments. We'll answer all of them, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Subscribe and like it. See you next time.
Stay safe, stay healthy.